Okay, welcome to the lesson today. This elementary lesson is about modal verbs. Not all modal verbs, some modal verbs. Now, what is a modal verb? A modal verb is a special verb. Why is it special? Let's compare it to other verbs. Okay, let's compare. So, an ordinary verb, like talk, play, do, all of these verbs change in present simple. We say he talks, he doesn't talk. She plays, she doesn't play, he does. Okay, we change them with he and she. Modal verbs, like can, should, up here, or must, you do not add an S with he or she forms. It doesn't change. Ordinary verbs have past forms. We say talked for in the past. We say played for in the past. And some have irregular forms. We have did for the irregular form of do. But modal verbs have no past forms. Can is an exception. Исключение, exception. Can has the past form could. Okay, so can is an exception. It has past form could, but you don't say he coulds or she coulds or she cans. No S with modal verbs. So modal verbs are special. They don't have a past form usually. There is no past of must, no past of should or shouldn't, and no past of mustn't. And there's no he or she form. Okay, that's what a modal verb is. That's why it's special. Now, we want to look today at must and have to first. What is the difference? Okay, in my opinion, most people use these the same. We can use must or have to. But in grammar books, you will learn that have to is for rules or laws. And must is for personal obligations. Obligation is obligationsность. So your own obligations. Yeah. For example, let's give you some examples. In England, you have to drive on the left. You have to drive on the left in England. In other countries, you have to drive on the right. But in England, you have to drive on the left. This is the law. You cannot break this law. It's a law. So we say in England, you have to drive on the left. You mustn't drive on the right. Okay, we'll come back to mustn't in a moment. But must we use for a strong, a personal obligation. For example, you must wear a sweater. It's cold. Yeah, you must put on a sweater before you go out. Okay? This isn't a rule, it isn't a law, and so we don't use have to, we use must. But, in my opinion, we use have to or must in you can say you must drive on the left in England. It's not a mistake. And you could say you have to put on a sweater before you go out. I don't think it's a big mistake. But usually we use must for personal obligations and have to for rules and laws. Okay, so this is a very strong obligation. This is a very strong recommendation. Should or shouldn't is a little bit weaker than must, but it's when you're saying that it's a good idea. Ought to is exactly the same as should. You can say you should stop smoking, or you can say you ought to stop smoking. So with should or shouldn't, we use it for advice and opinion. I think it's like tibie следовать in Russian. I'm not completely certain. I think you use a few different words. Sometimes I think you do use должен. But we always use should or shouldn't for advice or opinion. It means I think it's a good idea. That's what should means, and I think it's a bad idea. That's what shouldn't means. So you should give up smoking. Let's use a good phrasal verb. Give up. We say give up for when you stop a bad habit. You should give up smoking, gerund after preposition. You should give up smoking, or you shouldn't eat so much white bread. Okay, this is my advice. Yeah, this is advice, it's opinion. Okay, have to and must are very similar. And I told you that maybe we can even use them both in some situations. Don't have to and mustn't are completely different. Don't have to means no obligation. Не надо, or не обязательно. Mustn't means against the law or against the rules. Against the law or against the rules, against your personal rules perhaps. I'll show you what I mean with some examples. So don't have to. If okay, well let's look at two different. You don't have to use a dictionary and you mustn't use a dictionary. They are very different. If we say you don't have to use a dictionary, it means you can if you want to, but you don't have to. You can if you want. It's not against the rules. It's not an obligation. It's not obligatory. You don't have to use a dictionary, but you can if you want. It's different from you mustn't use a dictionary. Okay, you mustn't, it means against the rules. You will, if you do this exam and you use a dictionary, you will fail. They will take your exam paper away because it's against the rules. Okay, let me give you a couple more examples for those. Just two more and then we'll finish. You don't have to. Oh, remember that for he and she, it's she doesn't or he doesn't. He doesn't have to work on Sunday. He can if he wants to, but he doesn't have to work on Sunday. Compare this with you mustn't drive on the right. Okay, I hope that's enough examples for you. If you have any questions about these modals, put them under the video and I will be happy to answer them. Please subscribe and thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed this lesson and would like to receive more over the next few weeks. Here are some videos on phrasal verbs, auxiliary verbs, tenses, and verb forms as well, like gerunds and 2+ infinitive. Please watch them and try the quizzes below the videos, and I hope that you improve.